Hello and welcome to my first video about Unity and Adventure Creator. In this video I want to show you how you can implement a feature into your game to show all hotspot labels when you click on a keyboard button. I have seen that there are many people out there looking for a feature like this, so I thought it's worth to record the process how to get there. Yeah, so let's get started. So while I'm opening my project of my point and click adventure game, Professor Crackbrain, I will put the links to the demo of the game into the comment section below, so you can check it out if you want to. I think it's important to mention that there is a built-in feature called FlashAllHotspots in Adventure Creator, and let me shortly explain to you how this feature works and why it's not working for my intent. So Adventure Creator has a feature. If you go to the settings here, the game editor settings, you can see in the available inputs that there is already something called FlashHotspots, and it's bound to a button. And in default, I think it's the tab key. If you click the tab key, then it invokes for all hotspots. Let me show it to you. Hotspots window, for example. In the inspector window, there is object to highlight property for hotspot, and you can put a game object here, so you can create a sprite for the window, and then this feature will highlight this object. But first of all, I want to show the labels, so I want the player to see the text. And this is not part of this feature, and the other reason why I'm not using this feature is that I use a lot of hotspots like this window or this exit where I do not have sprites, and I don't want to create them for all my already created scenes now. So I want to have an easy way that works for everything that I have created without extra effort. So I spent the effort once to now script this feature. So let's get started. First thing we have to do is we want to have a button that triggers something. So in Unity, we have to define an input for this. You can find that in project settings. The input manager. There is already a new system available, input system package, that can be installed via the package manager. I haven't installed it yet. I also don't think I will do so for now, because I'm fine with the input manager. Not too much to do in here. If you want to define a new input, you have to, or you can just increase the number, and there will be a new input at the end of the list. And this input we call show all hotspots. I want this to react on the space button, and we do not need a negative button here. Positive button is space, and then the last thing we have to change is that this is a key or mouse button. For the other things are not relevant for us. So this is the first step, and now we have to, let's say, connect the Unity input with Adventure Creator. For this, Adventure Creator has an editor, active inputs editor, and we create a new input here. We call it, now let's call it also show all hotspots. And now it's really important, input button. Let's say first thing that comes to your mind is that you add space here, but it's you have to add the name that you have given to the Unity input, which is also show all hotspots. Okay, it's a button. We want to respond to button down. It's enabled. It's enabled only in normal mode, not in cutscenes and while dialogues are running. So this is fine. And this will trigger an action list. So let's create this action list. It was created up there in the assets folder for the how to. This is fine now. So this is the action list, and we do not want the gameplay to pause while the hotspots are showing, so we change that to run in background. And now we can edit this action list. The first thing, just to test it, is when we hit the spacebar, the player should say something. Space bar pressed. So let's test. And spacebar pressed. So first goal reached. Unfortunately, we cannot resolve the whole feature that we want to do now in action lists. So we have to have a C# script called when we click or when we press the spacebar. So how to do this? As the script should be available in all scenes and in the whole game, it has to be persistent on scene change. So it cannot be, let's say, exclusive to one scene. There are several ways to achieve this. For now, for me, I bind those things to my player prefab. You can also bind it to the persistent engine. I might have to change that in the future when I have multiple players. For now, it works fine. So I open the prefab of the player, and we can add a new script here. New script, and we call it show all hotspots. To edit this new script, you can click on this menu. You can click on this menu, and there's an edit. I will show it. Give me a second. Once Visual Studio launched, I can show it. Somehow it double-clicked. Okay, so we are back. Loading. Okay, if you click this, you can edit script, and if you click edit script, it will open the new script, and it's pre-filled. So there are some imports, and there is the class show all hotspot that we created, and there is an event and start and an update event. And what we want to have here is we want to have a method that can be called void show all. We cannot name it show all hotspots, because then it would be a constructor of the class. So show all now, maybe, or show all, and it doesn't take any parameters. And this now is a private function, so we have to make it public, that it's visible to the outside and can be called from the outside. And to see if it's working, we will add a debug log, and we write then to console, yes, here we go. Okay, so let's give it a try. Coming back to Unity, it will automatically start compiling the scripts. It detects when you did some changes. And let's close the prefab. Okay, so now we have a script with a function that is, or with a method that can be called, and it will write a debug log to the console. Now we have to bind it to this action list we created. So let's open this. Instead of having this dialog speech, we will call the script, and this can be done by object call event. So the object that we want to call is J, because we bound the script to J prefab. And now you can see all the scripts assigned to this object, and there is our class show all hotspots, and there is the function or the method show all. So now when the action list is invoked, this method should be invoked. Let's give it a try. We need the console output, and we click space, and here you can see our debug log. Yes, here we go. So far so good. Let me stop the game here. As a next step, what do we want to achieve? So we need a concept. We need, for each and every hotspot that we can see here, we want to show a label when we click. So to not interfere with the hotspots and the logic from Adventure Creator, we should come up with our own labels. So let's have a look how Adventure Creator does this. We have in menu, we have hotspot, and this is actually, we have to switch to game view to see it. This is the menu used for all the hotspot labels, and you can see here is a test, and this will be replaced with the right string, and then Adventure Creator just moves it to the current active hotspot to show the label. So we going to reuse this. We want to copy this and paste it, and let's call this hotspot template for our hotspots. And the idea or the concept how to solve this feature now is that we take this hotspot template, we create a copy for each hotspot, put it at the right place, put in the right string, and show it on button click. And to do this, we have to do some changes here. So first of all, the appear type is not on hotspot, because that would mean when you move on a hotspot, the menu appears, but it's manual because we do it via script. Then what is the next thing that we have to change? Position, it's not follow cursor, but it's on hotspot. So the idea is that once we have the copy of our template, we will assign this menu to the hotspot, and then it shows from the position, it shows on the hotspot. Next thing, which is really important, is always fit to screen. With the original hotspot menu, this makes sense. So for example, if you have a hotspot which is partly shown in the camera and you go over that, you can read the full text. So for our purpose now, if we would leave this activated, it will happen that we show it for all hotspots, and even if the camera does not show this door, like in the beginning of the scene, if you come from this side, the camera shows only this part of the screen. This, our label copy that we plan to create, will be pulled to the left side of the camera, and the same for this hotspot. So in the end, you will have a bunch of hotspots on the left side, or a bunch of labels on the left side. So we have to deactivate it. So now it will show the menu on the right place and will not move it into the camera screen. Okay, what else do we have here? So I would like this stuff to fade, but this is taste. So when I click the space button, I want the hotspots to fade in. And then this menu has a menu element called Hotspot Label, which is the when the text. As you can see here, there's a test as a placeholder text, and we have to change the label type here to normal, so that we can assign a text via script. If its label type is hotspot, then it always shows the text of the current selected hotspot. That would mean if then the player has show all hotspots on, and it he hovers over hotspot, all the hotspots will, all our menus will change to the current text, and this is what we want to avoid. So normal test, so we should be fine now. One thing to keep in mind is this is a copy of the hotspot menu. So when you want to change the appearance, the look and feel of your hotspots, you have to adapt it now in both menus. If not, then it will have a different appearance. So if you change the font, color, whatever. So keep that in mind. I'm sure there is a way to do this also via script, that we take all the adjustments we made in here. You can do in C# as well, so you could do the copy on the fly. But for my purposes, I'm fine with the layout or with the look and feel of my game. So I will avoid the work to do this via script. Okay, so now it's time to do the scripting. And maybe if you don't want to like follow me now scripting the whole stuff, you can just skip to the place where all is implemented and copy and paste. I will share the code as well, look into the description of the video. But I think it's also maybe interesting to see how to develop the feature step by step. So you can either stick with me or skip this part now. But now we're going to do the dirty laundry and implement this thing. So first, we said we want to have a copy of this template. So AC menu. This is the namespace of Adventure Creator. You can also put it in using. I like to have to distinguish between, do I use Adventure Creator or do I use Unity? So here to copy it, I want to have a new menu. I call it Hotspot menu template, and Hotspot menu template. And we want to get the hotspot template, which is AC dot the player menus. Exactly. And now get menu with name. And the name of the menu we want to get here is, we called it hotspot template. So now we have the reference to this template so that we can use it to copy it later. The next thing that we need to do is we need to get all the hotspot of the scene. So there are multiple, so AC hotspot, and we want to have an array here with all the hotspots in the scene. So current hotspots. And now how to get those. This is Unity, so game object, find object of type. Now we have to give the type, and the type is AC hotspot. And now we have, in best case, after this is called, we have all hotspots of the scene in this array. So the next step would be that we go through the array and we create a copy for each, a copy of this menu for each, and show it. So let's do this. For each. It's AC hotspot, the current hotspot that we are working on. Hotspot in current hotspots. There is something wrong. Hotspot. So, okay, how to test this now? I think the first thing that because we need to do this, we need to get the label we need to get the name of the hotspot. So let's do this and try to log this into the debug log. So string, and we call it hotspot name. And we want to get this hotspot name, so current hotspot dot. You can see here there is the list of functions that are part of this class. So it should something like get name, where get name, and get name takes the language, which is perfect because we want to make this for localization ready, the script. So how to get now the current selected language? It's AC options, and there is a function get language, and this will return the language, gets the hotspot's current display name. Now this is get name. Get language gets the index number of the current selected language. So now we put in the language into get name, and we get the hotspot name returned. So let's see if this works. Debug log hotspot name, and give it a go. Don't forget to store it all the time. I do this with keyboard shortcut, so you will not see that happening, but I always store it and then moving in here. Now it's compiling the script, and so hitting the space bar, and you can see now, and then we have all the hotspot labels in here. And to test the localization feature, let's change the game to German, and try this again. We have to scroll down now, and we can see that now it's the German translated strings showing in our debug log. So next milestone reached. So let's stop the game again and let's go back. So this debug log, we do not need this anymore. Okay, so next step would be to copy the hotspot template so that we have a menu to show on this hotspot. And to do this, I think I got it from the forum, Adventure Creator forum. I think Chris, the programmer of the Adventure Creator, I think he posted it somewhere, or I stole it somewhere in the Adventure Creator classes. I don't remember exactly, but it's a function called create duplicate. And it takes a menu and it returns the copy of the menu. It duplicates it here. It creates a new instance of a menu, then duplicate in game. This is if you use Unity menus, I think. Unity UI, I'm not using that, but I will leave it in nevertheless. And then it registers this menu in the custom menus and returns it. So let's call this. So we want to have an AC menu current hotspot label menu. Okay, a lot of typos. Current hotspot label menu, and we want to create a copy, so create duplicate, and we will put in our hotspot template. So as a next step, I think we can assign, first of all, current hotspot label menu. We change the name of this to the hotspot name. And now if we want to adjust the text, or maybe first of all, let's show it, right? Show it with the default label test. So what to do to show this? It's this is something that's also coming out of research. So hotspot label label menu. So this is nothing I have out of on top of my head, but it's more like you have to read through the forums and understand how things are going. So recalculate is the first thing that we have to do. I think it's also about then putting it to the right position, and the size and everything is recalculated here. Then we initialize it. Not sure exactly what it does, but we have to initialize it, and then we can show it. And this is done by turn on. There's also turn off. We want to turn on the menu, and it takes a parameter. There's one. Okay. So it takes a parameter if you want to use the fade functionality. So we want to use fading, so we put this to true. And now when we test it, the copy that we have created should show. And for each hotspot there's a copy created. And it should show now in the middle of the screen, I guess. So give it a try. So I can see that they are all registered. Okay, they don't show, and I know why they don't show, because we haven't give them a position, or we said this should show on hotspot, on the position of hotspot, but they don't have a hotspot yet. So we have to do this as well. So let's go here and say this is the current hotspot that we are working on, and we should the other way around. I think we have current hot. Why is it not proposing anything? Current hotspot label menu, and now set hotspot, so that it knows where to show. And hotspot that we want to set is the current one, where we also get the label from. So set hotspot. It takes two arguments, the hotspot and the inventory instance, and we do not have this, so we will just hand in null. Okay, let's give it another try. And it let me check why it's not showing. Maybe it's the text that we have to assign as well, so they most probably are showing, but this placeholder text is not shown. So let's do this as well. This is not that easy, because first of all, as you might remember, hotspot template, there is the element section. So a menu can have different elements, so you can add them here. You see there are different element types available. So first of all, we have to get this element. So it's AC menu element, and we call it label element. Okay, and we need to get this, and this is the current hotspot menu label. Get element with name, and the name was hotspot label. So the name is this element name. I think it's clear, not rocket science. So now we should have the element, but this is the class used for all elements, and not every element has a label. So we need to cast it. So AC menu label. This is the type that we actually want to do, so it's our label, or that we want to work with. So, oh come on, label, And now we need to cast AC menu label. Oh wait, it's not a type definition, it's a cast AC menu label, and now we want to cast this element. And that should work because all the, let's say, specific element classes are deriving from menu element, so that should work. And now we have this label of the current copy of the menu, and we should be able to set the label to the current hotspot name. Okay, so but now I expect the menus to show up. So let's see. Okay, they don't show up, so let's check the code. Something is wrong. We show this, okay, so here we go. This is the problem. We have turn on of the current hotspot, and we want to turn on the current hotspot label menu. So another test. So most probably it would have worked even without assigning the right label text already, or at least for me, we will never know. And now, as you can see, I still have it on set to German, so change that. And yeah, this is, by the way, another problem that we have to solve. Now we changed it to English, but the German texts are still showing. So this is a case that we have to take care in the because the player can also do this, right? Change the text while the hotspots are showing. But as you can see now, we have this labels copied and put on each hotspot. So another milestone reached. So what are we going to do next? So what we want now, we can show all the hotspots pressing the spacebar, but we want them to disappear again when we press it again. So we have to change a little bit the logic. So this one has to go out of the, let's say, creation process. So I want to distinguish now between copying and creating the menu, and now showing it. So since every time when I press the spacebar, this function is invoked. So I want to have it invoke to show all the hotspots, and I want when they are shown, I want them to deactivate again. So in best case, we are testing here if it's visible, and if it's visible, we turn it off. And if it's not visible, we turn it on. So it should be something like if the current. Okay, now let's change this a little bit. So there is, when we register, this function registered the custom menus in the game. So what we want to do is, we do not want every time when we hit the spacebar to create all these copies, because it will always add up on top, and you have registered multiple of those. So we want to do the following. We want to see if there's already something registered. So for me, I'm using this only this custom menus, at least for now, only for this feature. So what I'm going to do is, I want to get all custom menus. This is the same thing, right? We have ac.menu, and in best case, this is returned as an array. Custom menus registered. I know this sounds like a bool, so registered custom menus, and we want to get all custom menus. So from AC. This is now a little bit hidden in this Kickstarter. So this is also research. Then we have the player menus. So we get, and in the player menus you have the ones which are created in the menu manager, and you have the custom menus. So we you have to get menus assigned, get registered custom menus. So now when we hit this the first time, this will be empty, right? Because we haven't copied anything yet. And so this will be, this array will be empty. We will create it only if there is not yet already a menu in here which has the same name. This would be the approach. We need a function to find inside of this array if there is a menu with the name of the current hotspot. So here we have the name of the current hotspot, and before we create a new one here, we want to check if it's already created. We want to get, let's say, AC menu current copy current menu copy. Okay, so I hope you can still with me. So current menu copy, and let's see if we have it already in there. So we call it, we have to create a function for this, find custom menu, and what we want to give into this function is registered custom menus, so that we can search for it, and we want to give in the hotspot name. So let's go there and do this. We return AC menu, and the function is called, how did we call it? Find custom menu, and it gets an AC menu array custom menus. Yeah, I could call this function also in here, but since we did it already and we have it already in the memory, I think it's fine to just hand it over here. And there is a string called menu name. There is already a function called like this in the AC space, so we have to rename it. Find my custom menu. So now it should be fine. Now you should be able to call it. It's just complaining that I don't have a return value yet. So return null. Okay, so what are we going to do? We have an array with custom menus. Maybe this is empty, but nevertheless we want to go through this array. AC menu, current menu to look at in custom menus. So this is all custom menus currently registered in the game, and if it has the same name than the string, so current menu dot name equals the menu name, then we will return this current menu. Return current menu, and if not, we will return null. So now if there's no custom menu yet registered, so we have hit the spacebar the first time, this function will return null. So we will have null in here, so we can check for this. If current menu copy is null, then we will create the thing. What we're going to do here now is, now this creates all the menus if they are not already available. And now decouple it logically. So what we're going to do is here we want to get all the registered menus again, because or in the first one this is empty, then we create everything, and but also when we hit the spacebar the first time, we want all of them to show, so we get it now again, and now all of them should be registered. And now we want to do for each of them, for each of the registered menus, AC menu, current hotspot menu, current menu in registered custom menus. We want to turn it on. So now we have the current menu turn on true. So now it should be the behavior as before, but now we are able to call this function multiple times without creating the menus every time or creating copies every time. So let's give it a try, and as you can see, now all the things are shown again. But now if I click or if I press the spacebar again, it's not registering all the time new menus, but it's reusing the ones as they are already turned on. If I click, the turn on will not do anything anymore, but so far so good. Now what do we want to do now? We want to, if it's shown, we want to turn it off. So we can make the following: if current menu dot is visible, then turn it on. Else turn it off. That's absolutely stupid. For sure, if it's visible, we want to turn it off, and if it's not visible, we want to turn it on. So okay, time to finish the video, so my brain gets a little bit lost. So another try. Okay, so turning on, turning off. So here we go. So basically we have the feature ready. So now we have to take care about some edge cases. If we have an active hotspot, at least we do not want to have the second one to show. So this we can stop by just checking the and not showing the current the label for the current active hotspot. So this is the next thing that we're going to do. Okay, let's add this. AC hotspot active game hotspot, and it's AC now again the current game, AC Kickstarter. It's in player interaction, it's a little bit hidden somehow, and get active hotspot. Now we have the current active hotspot, and we have to make sure, because if nothing is selected, right, so there's no mouse over on the hotspot, this is null. So if active hotspot, before we access anything on this, we have to check that if there's really an active hotspot. If not, we want to show also, then it's fine. So if there is one, we want to have we want to get the name of it to compare if it's the one that we have. Active hotspot name, and for now, so we initialize it with empty, and we want to use it. Active hotspot name, this is active game hotspot dot name. So, and here we only want to turn on if sorry, if active hotspot name is the same as the current menu that we want to turn on, or is not the same, then we turn it on. Current menu dot name. And this is now working because in the beginning we assigned this hotspot name also to the menu. Don't confuse it with the label. So this is what is shown, and this is let's say internally the name. So we use this as an identifier here to ensure that that this is the same. Okay, now this should work, and we will test. So now all are shown, and now we have an active hotspot, police entrance, and it's shown. So we have to check why. To police. Okay, so it's working for the others, but it's not working for this one because name and label are different here. Okay, got it. What we have to do, instead of get name, we have to get full label from the hotspot and put in the current language, and you get the label, and this is now fine. So as you can see here, this is where I tested it. Now this debug log, it does not have the hotspot name to police, but it shows police entrance, and this is also how we called our menu. So now it's working. So we are nearly there, so stick with me. We have this now, as you can see. Now police entrance is not showing, now window is not showing, so this is working. So let's go to another scene. So in this scene I have hidden hotspots actually behind the garage, but if I do it now, as you can see them all. So we have to check and show it only for hotspots that are on or turned on and not disabled. So that's the next thing that we have to fix. So we will not create this menu if the hotspot is not enabled. So how to do this? We can easily check on this current hotspot. We do it right here. If current hotspot is on, then we will do all of this. And if it's not on, we will not. Let me switch the scene to the one where we have the problem. It's chase hot. And now, as you can see, it only shows the hotspots that are active. Okay, so another edge case that we have to think of is, we have seen it before, is if I turn that on and now I change the language, then somehow there's still the old translation. So this is a little bit more difficult to do because we have to listen to the on change language event of Adventure Creator. And how to do this I will show you in a second. Okay, so this is now something that we have to address when the onStart event of the script is loaded. We want to register a function which is called whenever the language is changed. So what we do here is we go to AC Event Manager, because there all the events are, and we say on change language event, and we want to add a function which should be called when the language is changed. So after language change, we want to clean up actually, and so let's call the function like this, and then we need to create a function for this. Let's put it directly in here. It's a private void, no return value, or it depends on the delegate what it needs, but normally they don't return anything. And so here we go, and now because we need to have the same parameters and everything than the delegate. You can look that up in the scripting reference, and for the language event it's an integer, the language. I don't know if it's the language changed to or the old one. Most probably it's the new one, but as you can see now the compiler error resolved, because now we have exactly the signature of the method that is expected from the event. And now what we want to do is we want to destroy all custom menus that all copies. We will throw them away. So we say ac.kickstarter player menus, and now destroy all custom menus. So now if you change the language, this should be called and all the custom menus are destroyed. Be careful, if you're using custom menus also for different purposes, you create menus in your game, you may have to go through it and destroy the right ones. And leave the other ones that are not used for the hotspots intact. So then you have to destroy each individually or unregister individually. So let's try if it works. Okay. So here we go. Now we change the language to German, and as you can see already they're all gone. So let's go back, and now we have the German ones, and let's turn that back to English, and they're all gone. So perfect, this is working. So now I think it's the last edge case that we have to cover, and I want to show you the problem that we have to resolve. So let's turn the hotspots on, and then leave to another scene. And now it's loading the scene, and as you can see all the menus were still there, but the hotspots not. So it's as you can see it screwed up. So what we have to do when we have a scene change, we have to destroy all the menus that we have created. So let's do this. It's exactly the same thing as we did before. So here we go. We have to register in the event manager the scene change. So AC event manager on change on after change scene. So this is the right event where we want to hook in, and we call it after scene change cleanup. Now the same thing, we have to create a function that matches the signature. So private void after scene change cleanup, and here you can look that up in the scripting reference. It's AC load game, load, yeah, whatever, don't need to use it, but we need to have it. Okay, and we want to do exactly the same. We want to remove all the menus. So now I think we are done. So let's give it a go. So turn them on, turning off. Okay. And now we turn them on and we go outside. And perfect. So this is working. Okay, just realized that we should add one other edge case or use case before we add it to the options, and this is when you have the inventory open, this should not happen, right? So when the inventory is open, I don't want this to show to work. So we will add this first. That it's not that difficult to add. So we will not do anything if the inventory menu is visible. So first of all, we need to get the inventory menu AC. We can just copy this line, call this inventory, and inventory I think is the default name. Let's check it. Menu, it's inventory. Okay, so here we go. If inventory dot is visible, then return. Okay, and basically this is the same way how we're going to approach the options dialog button. Let's test this first, and if this is working, then we will add this opt-in feature, and then we are done. Hooray. Okay, so it's still working. I open the inventory and it's not working anymore, and let's close the inventory, and there we go. Now how to make this optional? First of all, we need a global variable to store if it's active or not. So we create a new show all hotspots option, and it's bool. It's either true or false. Initial value is false. For me, it's opt-in. And now this is important, link to. We have to link it to the options data, because then, as it says here, it's stored in the player preferences and not in the save games. So having that, we will go to the options menu, and so I will make that now quick and dirty. We will add a new, we will copy the subtitles because it has an on-off already. We will copy it and we will paste it. Okay, let's move it up. Now they are on the same position, so they are overlaying. This is why we don't see both. Show all hotspots, and this is called space, yeah, whatever. The copy you can do by your own. Space bar to show all hotspots. And now what we want this to do is to toggle a variable, and the variable we can choose here, show all hotspots option. User can change the value yes, and And now we have to just adjust the position. So put it below here. Yeah, and the back button for now I will just put it even lower. So this toggles now this global variable. So variables. So okay, give it a go. Menu, options, and as you can see, this changed from true to false and back. Okay, so this is working. So let's now change the script that it reacts on this. So it's the same thing here. Let's get this global variable. It's a bool, as we said. Bool show all is active. Okay, let's stick to my naming convention, and it's AC global variables get variable with the name. Okay, how did we name it again? And now get Boolean value somehow. It's not a get function, it's just a public member. Okay, so if this is not active, then don't execute this stuff. Oh. Okay, so let's see if everything is working as expected. So now it's not working. I'm hitting the space bar because, but it's not working. So I changed that and turned it on. And now it's working. So perfect. So this is the place in time where you can skip to and copy just the code in and be fine with the feature. You have to check if you skipped here and not stick with me with the programming. You have to do some adjustments like show all hotspot options global variable that has to be added, and you have to add it to the options menu. So those are some things where it's maybe worth to look at this position in the video to see how I did it. So because some adjustment have to be made in Adventure Creator that the script is working. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking to this. Also watching me debugging some of the errors. But this is the way I approach programming in Adventure Creator and Unity. And hopefully the feature works for you well. And this could be of help for you. Thanks. Bye-bye.